Continuing with the next verse from Sri Vishnu Sahasranama. Bhuta-vasah vasudeva sarva sunilayo nalaha darpaha darpado dripto durdharo ta parajitaha. First of these names, number 713, is Bhuta-vasah. As usual, the commentators, they derive different meanings from these names. The first one given is probably the most obvious one. Bhuta, Bhuta, means living beings. And Vasaha means residence. So he who is the abode of all creatures. So in this derivation, the word Bhuta is derived from the root Bhu, which comes out as Bhava, to be. Bhavanti sarva bhutanam, we have such words in the Gita repeatedly, very common words in Sanskrit discussion of philosophical topics, as in Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Upanishads, and so on. So therefore, Bhavantiti bhutani, that which is. So it can mean all things, and that which comes into being particularly refers to living beings, which don't come into being in ontologically, but means living beings in the material world. So let's put it like that, yeah. The different forms, the different life forms. Then the word vasa is derived from the root vasa nivase, to dwell. So we've had names like this, haven't we, just before this. Satyadevo Vashishta gives the derivation, Samantad vasanti bhutani yasmin sa bhuta-vaso Vishnuhu. He in whom all beings everywhere dwell is Bhuta-vasah. Everything resides in him, as Lord Krishna revealed when he showed his universal form Vishvarupa to Arjuna. And Arjuna, upon seeing this, said, Pashami devans tava deva dehe savangs tata bhuta vishesha sanghan brahmanamisham kamalasanastam rishings cha sarvan urugangs cha deeptan. Arjuna said to Krishna that, O Lord, Isham, I see in this form, in this body, all the gods, all the different kinds of gods, and all the different kinds of living beings. Brahma is there. Isha, Isha actually refers here to Shiva. The rishis, the sages, the snakes, the lustrous snakes that can be urangs chadiptan, all different kinds of, the whole universal form is glowing. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita himself says a very well-known verse, Mata parataram nanyat kinchirasti dhananjaya Mai sarvamidang protang sutre manigana iva. There is nothing higher than myself, O Arjuna. Everything here, is strung upon. It's rests on me as pearls are strung on a thread. So just like the pearls or the gems are strung on a thread, so in the same way, every living being, or everything, rests on Krishna. It can be understood in this context. What else? Yashoda saw all living beings in Krishna, including herself. Another kind of universal vision. That when Balaram and his friends complained to Yashoda, Krishna's eating dirt. Krishna said, no, I didn't. They're just making stories about me. That we had some quarrel, and now they want to get back on me by saying that I ate dirt. I didn't eat dirt. I didn't eat dirt. So Yashoda, what does she do? One party says one thing, another party says the other. So in expert forensic style that every mother knows, she told Krishna, okay, you open your mouth and then we'll see. And she saw within his mouth, Bhumirapana, all the dirt in the universe, all the anala, that's a name which comes up just now in this verse, all the fire in the universe, all the earth, water, fire, air, and ether in the universe, all living beings within him, that's the point, Bhuta-vasah, all living beings within him. She saw all the planets, all the stars. Within this earth, she saw all the continents and seas. She saw the land of Bhuta-vasah. She saw the land of Vrindavan. She saw herself with Krishna looking into his mouth. And she became overwhelmed and said, don't do it again. Close your mouth, don't do it again. So she saw everything in him. So we're all in him. We were all in there too, unless any of you happen to be liberated souls who came just now from Vaikuntha to deliver us all. We were all in that Vishvarup Darshan also. When Krishna showed to Arjuna, when Krishna showed to Mother Yashoda, we were there. Many of you watching might have been great, many of you who Yashoda and Arjuna saw, you may have been great demigods or great rishis. I was probably a worm in stool or a worm in the stool of a worm. But we were all there in some form or other. So that's nice, eh? Yashoda saw us. Arjuna saw us. The real thing is to go to be with Yashoda or Arjuna, serving Krishna, not separated from him. Baladev Vidyabhushan gives the same meaning. In whom all beings dwell, and specifically stated here is in close proximity. We're all close to Krishna. We are far away from him psychologically, you can say, but he's never far away from us. As is stated in the Quran, he's closer to us than our jugular vein. As spoken by Lord Shiva. This is quoted in Harivangsha. Vasanti tvai bhutani Bhuta-vasah tato bhavan. You see, I heard the name Bhuta-vasah. So this is in Harivangsha. All beings dwell in you, and therefore you are named Bhuta-vasah. So another meaning of the name is given, that he dwells in the hearts of his devotees. And there are many names like this we find in Vishnu Sahasranama, that he's specially inclined to his devotees. So all living beings in general, everything that exists resides with him. That's generally, but particularly he is within the hearts of his devotees. And I don't know how many times in this series of talks I've quoted Sadhunam hridayam tvaham Sadhunam hridayam mahyam madanyate na jananti nahang tebhyo managapi. Many times I've quoted this, that Krishna tells Durvasa, I'm in the heart of my devotees. They are my heart, I am their heart, because they know nothing but me and I know nothing but them. And many times I've quoted also, Nahang tishtami vaikunte yoginam hridiyeshu vat. Yatra gayanti mad bhakta tatra tishtami narada. Where do I live, Narada? Vaikuntha. No. In the hearts of the yogis, no. Where my devotees are chanting my glories. So Vishnu Sahasranama, it is after all a devotional text, and Vishnu is not just the overseer of the universe, sitting behind some big computer screen pressing buttons, or even by his... yes, he does, of course, he does also, not exactly pressing buttons, but it does automatically, because Parasa Shakti Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhavaki Jnana Balakriyacha. Swabhavaki, all his energies work under his control. They are his energies, but they work very naturally and automatically, which means he's free to dance with Radha. That's not stated in the Upanishads. The Swabhavaki Jnana Balakriyacha, that's in the Upanishads, but the logical, I don't know, don't bring too much logic here, but the conclusion is that what's he doing then? He's got nothing to do. Natasya karyam karanang ja vidyate, natatsamaschabyabdikastra drishyate. He's got nothing to do. There's no one comparable to him. He's the greatest of all. So, all right, we're all doing different things. So what's he doing? The perfectionists to do nothing, but Krishna rejects that idea in Bhagavad Gita, that the perfectionists do nothing. So what's he doing? Then you have to look up a little bit from Vishnu Sahasranam. Look up. What's he doing? Well, Vishnu Sahasranam, yes, of course, Vishnu Sahasranam tells, just like here. He's in the hearts of his devotees, yeah. He especially reciprocates with his devotees. We'll come soon to the name Bhuta-vasah, a very important name of Krishna. So the name Bhuta-vasah, it might seem to be one of those names. Yeah, everything resides in him. It's somewhat impersonal understanding of Vishnu. Impersonal in the sense that it doesn't tell us anything about his personality. It's a function. It's a name of one of his functions. But when we say the name is also understood to mean that he resides in the hearts of his devotees, then becomes very sweet and very nice when we understand it this way. It's not, in other words, not just functional, but it's very personal. So both things are there. There's his impersonal aspect and then his Paramatma aspect by which all living beings live within him, either Paramatma within the heart, and then there's Paramatma within each universe, and Paramatma from whom all the universes emanate, and in whom they all they reside by his power, so that we have Kshira Dakarshai Vishnu, Garbho Dakarshai Vishnu, Karana Dakarshai Vishnu. So they're all functional forms, we can say, but very personal form, by the same person, but he's perceived in different ways. The devotees, they keep him in their hearts. They don't let him go away. That story is there of blind Bilvamangala in Vrindavan. Krishna would play with him and then run away. And Bilvamangal would tell him that, you can run away from me in your play, but you can't run away from my heart. I've got you captured in my heart. So that's why he dwells, particularly in the hearts of his devotees. And then with this understanding, this name is a synonym of one of the main understandings of the name Sannivas, which came just 2 names ago. The abode, which means the abode of the devotees, or him who dwells in the hearts of his devotees. Here's an understanding of this name from Sri Krishna Datta Bharadvaj. Bhuteshu bhajana parayaneshu praneshu avaso yasya iti Bhuta-vasah. He dwells in the hearts of the devotees who perform his worship and sing his praise. Then, this is from the Madhva Sampradaya. Bhutani avatiti Bhuta-vasah Asaratityasaha Bhuta-vasah Bhuta-vasah. Vishnu is called Bhuta-vasah because he protects all creatures and resides in them. Getting back to the point of all creatures, but he not only he resides in them, but he protects them also. Then another meaning, coming to the more general meaning, the dwelling place of the great elements, or the Panchamahabhuta. There's Bhuta-vasah, the Panchamahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And Bhuta can mean all the elements, everything that is, everything in the material world, and the living beings. So one meaning is in whom the great elements, Mahabhuta, they reside. And the same quotation is given for that from Harivangsha to support it. Vasanti tvai bhutani bhuta-vasas tato bhavan. Satyadevo Vashishta expands on this understanding of the name Bhuta-vasah by stating that he gives some elaboration to understand the implication of this name, that all living beings, or the living beings reside in him, but they also, in their material bodies, they reside in different elements. Just like we humans on this earth, our body largely consists of earth, solid matter, and water. And it's suitable for existence on this earth in the way we are. And different bodies are differently constituted. Within this earth there are many living beings who reside within the water. Their body is constituted, the different elements of their body are constituted in a way that they reside within the water. Similarly, as Srila Prabhupada insisted, there are living beings who live in fire also, which when Srila Prabhupada said that in the 1970s to us in the West, that might have sounded something fantastic, but now it's found out that there are living beings who can reside in such conditions. Satyadeva Vashishta gives the example, another example, he says there are living beings who, they live in the air, they spend a lot of time in the air, the birds, and there may be other creatures, insects flying around. He gives an example, he says, if cow dung is burnt and the ashes are let to stand for 50 years without being washed away or any such thing, there is an insect that will come from that which is fireproof, can enter into fire, because it has fire as its principal nature. These kind of things, like I say, may sound fantastic, but it's there in the... Why does Satyadeva Vashishta say? Well, he's very extremely learned in Vedic knowledge, so he must have come across that in Vedic knowledge, not just that he makes something up. It must be from Puranas, somewhere in Shastra. So we may not believe such things, but, we should do, because it's in Shastra. People who don't believe in Shastra may not believe it, but why not? So, Satyadeva Vashishta says, Bhagavan has created the different creatures in different ways and associated them with the 5 different great elements, Panchamahabhut, in different ways. So how all living beings dwell in him, that's one meaning of Bhuta-vasah, and how all the great elements dwell within him, it's all linked together. They're not entirely separate understandings. Even in poison, there are some living beings, some germs can survive within poison. Varshishta, Satyadeva Varshishta refers to the Vedic hymn, Rig Veda. Vishnu Karmani Pashyata. Oh, see what Vishnu is doing. Just see. Just see.